G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the round 13 review. Well, for many of you, you would have seen the video that I posted late last week and I made some sacrifices to the SuperCoach Gods. I was desperate because I had injuries left, right and centre, really worried that I wouldn't be able to complete my full premo side by the end of the season, and so I thought I need to make some offerings to the SuperCoach Gods. And lo and behold, I get my best score of the season with a 2480 top 1% with a round 13 rank of 992. It didn't work out all well though. There were 4 players in particular that I did offer some sacrifices to the Gods for. And those players were Nat Fife, Christian Petrarca, Piggy Oliver, and Lockie Neal. And those 4 blokes delivered, for some of them, close to their worst scores of the season. So the SuperCoach Gods did say, here is a good score, but just to show you that we don't play favourites, we're going to curse these 4 players for this week. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I will link it in the description. But my recommendation is, maybe you guys should make some of your own sacrifices, because I did, as I said, get my best score for 2020 so far. I was really worried that I'd have to be aiming for probably the top 3k to top, 2.5k, but just in this round, I've gone up to 2333 with a rank change of 1,407 spots. 10 out of 10 league wins, which was really, really handy. Have made all the finals for my cash leagues, which is also really, really good. So for this week, I really can't complain too much. Let's have a look at how the team actually went. So for my trade-ins this week, I was tossing and turning between a combination of players, and that was Jake Lloyd and Luke Parker, or Luke Ryan and Nat Fife. So as you can see, I ended up going with the Ryan and Fife combo. I said last week that my defence was an absolute train wreck, but if you look at the top 4 scores there, looking so much better this week. And look, I really am glad that I did stick to those trade plans, because a bloke, and I'll get to a little bit later on in the review, Sammy Draper, you absolute legend, mate. Big reason for me being so successful this round. And look, with the news of Laddams coming through, I thought I probably need to get rid of him now, bring a Ruck in. But in the end, I decided to give Draper a go. I thought I'll see how this fella goes for the week. Use Laddams as my captain loophole option. I always prefer to do that in the rucks if possible, because there's, no stuffing around there. You know what you're doing there. And that worked out really, really well. I was looking at a few different ruckmen, but in the end I thought I just can't make my mind up. A few of the rucks that I like don't have the best buy, so I'm going to stick to my original trade plans and get in Ryan for Sicily, and I'm getting in Fife for Arts through some DPP, which was really good. He only got the 86, not a great week from him, but I'm just wrapped that I've now got him in the side. A buy-free player, which is really, really handy. As we know, we've, just before I forget, for anyone that doesn't know, Brisbane and Adelaide are the 2 teams that do have the bye this week, so it will be best 18 for this week. But back to the back line, Luke Ryan on debut, 142, absolutely wrapped with this bloke. I wanted a pod. I looked at his 3-round average. It was him or the Seagull. So given the fact I wanted a pod, that choice is pretty easy for me, but absolutely wrapped with that. Just cleaned up everything in the back line. It wasn't necessarily a heap of intercept marks, but just seemed to clean up everything. All those loose balls in the back line. Used the ball really, really well. One of their best players for Freo, particularly in that first quarter. Absolutely killed it in that first quarter. Rory Laird, really happy with him because he's gone back over that 100 mark now. So a nice 120. Played that time in the middle, racked up some of his possessions, so a lot better this week from Rory Laird. I was a little bit worried after last week, but now really, really happy with this selection. Look, he won't be playing this week, but I can cover him pretty easily. Ridley, again, I said last week that I'll forgive this bloke because, it wasn't the best score we've seen from Ridley, but look at that, back up to a 115. We expected that from Ridley. We wanted him to bounce back. Isn't it amazing that this bloke has played under 30 games? That's phenomenal. This guy's going to be an absolute superstar. I know Spills is a massive fan of Jordan Ridley. Tommy Stewart, this is a really fun game for me to watch, the Adelaide Geelong game, because as you can see there with Laird, Stewart, Danger and Duncan, some pretty successful scores coming out of that game. So thank you very much, Stewie. He raised the bat for me last week as well. I think he was my only defender to do that. So a nice ton 2 weeks in a row. Thank you very much. Sam Doherty, yeah, look, to be fair to Doc, I think at half time he was in the mid 40s, and I thought to myself, do you know what? Here we go. He could actually hit the ton here, but yeah, as we know, he just hasn't been hitting the ton this year, and an 84, pretty much a standard score from Doc. I think he'll be a really, really good luxury upgrade if you can afford to do it. Noble, geez, he had a massive first quarter. I thought he was a little bit ripped off for his quarter time score. He had 7 disposals, I think. I think that 6 out of the 7, all of those were effective. I know, yeah, a few of them were handballs, but he did have 2 tackles as well. I thought, here we go. He could be, you know, on 80 by the end of the game. But 57, look, you'll take it because, you know, for example, I know a few people that had Cogs this week in the midfield that gave you a similar score, so we can't complain too much from Johnny Noble. Bench players didn't play there. Jack McRae in the midfield, had him as the vice captain, obviously. Now, I'm still getting lots of questions about this. You know, should I be taking a 140 VC score? 100% every day of the week. You know, if you took the gamble on Neil this week, you suffered majorly. You would have got, what's that, a 144, you know, compared to a McRae's 282. So my advice is, and I say this all the time, if it's about a 125 plus, you know, okay, go to 130. If it's a 130 plus, take it every day of the week. It's not worth risking it for an extra 10, 20, 30 points maybe. It's just not worth it. So anyone that did not take the Jack McRae vice captain score this week, hopefully just learn a bit of a lesson from that, I suppose. Try to take that on board, and the next time you get a 130 odd plus from your VC, just lock it in. Just take it. Lachie Neale, well, only his second disappointing score of the season. I was actually predicting Jack Steele to go to him, but it wasn't Steele. He won his own ball and played, geez, probably his best game of the year. One of his best games of the year, Jack Steele. It was actually Seb Ross. So, yeah, he really did limit Lachie Neale's influence there. Jared Lyons also had a really, really quiet game. But then, as usual, the blokes like Berry and McCluggage step up for the Lions. So, Lachie Neale, again, we can forgive this bloke. You're probably not forgiving him if you put the captaincy option on him. I can understand that if you didn't have someone like McRae as a vice captain and your vice captain didn't work out, but I haven't got a huge amount of sympathy if you did have the vice captaincy on McRae. Titch, 132, fantastic. Take that. 586, yeah, well, he came in for his first week. Look, won enough of the ball. Just didn't use it as well as he could have, I suppose. But I'm not too concerned with that. He'll bounce back 5. Danger, 114. And Duncan, 134. I'll tell you what, talk about some junk time. I reckon these two blokes, between them, scored about 90 points in the last quarter. I know Danger, I'm pretty sure Danger had 2 direct goal assists to Duncan. I think it was in probably the last 5 minutes. I know they had another opportunity. I think it was in the second quarter, the first play. I'm pretty sure Danger got the clearance, kicked it up to Duncan, and he missed a relatively easy set shot. So, yeah, that goal assist for Danger could have been up, and that goal count for Duncan could have been up too. But 134 and 114, wrapped with that. Duncan was tracking really well throughout the whole game. I think Danger was on about 66 points at 3/4 time. And he was a real pod for me in lots of my cash leagues. So wrapped that he ended up having a massive last quarter, dominated that last quarter. 114, really, really happy. Cripps, well, is he back in form? Maybe. He's certainly not looking like him, you know, like his 2019, sort of 2018 form. But look, we had a couple of 120s now, and we can be really, really happy with that. Shuey, low time on ground again. Yeah, haven't been wrapped with this pick, to be quite honest. I did trade him in for Viney. I think Viney got about a 96 this week, but I am up the previous 2 weeks on Shuey over Viney. But yeah, it is what it is. He was one of those cheap primos that I just needed to get in to complete my side. And again, one of those buy-free players. Bytel looked pretty good again. Schoenberg, really impressed with him, actually. I was worried about this pick and thought, he just looks too slow, can't get into the game, but I think that was his best game that he's played so far, so well done there, mate. Bad luck if you captain Grundy, 85, low score from him, really low score from Goldie as well, but I wasn't expecting anything huge from Grundy, given the fact that he was coming up against Goldie as well. I thought that they'd cancel each other out a little bit, but I was still expecting at least 100 from them both, because as we've seen in many games this year, we can have both of the main ruckmen from each side score really, really well in the same game. So a little bit of a surprise there that they both went so terribly. Ladhams, I've already talked enough about this bloke. Absolute peanut. I'd just suspend him for the rest of the year. Drop him for the rest of the year. Just a goose for what he did, this guy. Absolute goose. I won't speak any more about Ladhams, but he did his job this week. He was my captain. Now, this bloke here, Sammy Draper, come on down. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a massive, massive game by Draper. I was hoping for maybe a 75. I would have been really happy with that. But the fact that he reached the ton, and not only reached the ton, went that extra mile, went the 122, that was absolutely massive for me, particularly given the fact that I kept Ladhams. I'm certainly going to keep on to him next week. Draper may have a bit of a radical plan the next week after that. I'll have to wait and see. I might talk a little bit about that when I get to my trades, but he just looked magnificent, this bloke. He's got a good game this week. I think they're coming up against the Hawks. Big Boy, look, Big Boy's actually been playing pretty well, actually, so it may be a little bit of a tougher opponent there for him, but absolutely wrapped with this bloke. He'll make us some really, really nice coin. And geez, just so thankful that he came around at the right time. Ruck, a downgrade from a Naismith, get him in, he starts playing. I get Gawn in, he goes down, Ladhams goes down. So, yeah, very, very thankful I've got Draper in the side. Absolutely wrapped with that. Onto the forward line. So, Petrarca, yeah, well, he had a quiet game. But, he had a quiet game score-wise. Not a huge impact, but disposal-wise, I still think that he was Melbourne's leading disposal getter, if not in the top two from memory. But again, look at that average, 119.5. If his worst game is going to be an 82, then we'll take that from Truck. The rest of the forward line functioned pretty well. Brayshaw, I knew that he'd bounce back. I was expecting a really big response from him. He would have been extremely disappointed after the events of last week, giving that free kick away. So he bounced back in a really big way, 122. Dusty, well, he had one of his good games. We know he goes up, he goes down, he's a roller coaster, so I'm really, really glad that he hit his peak this week. Thank you, Dusty. Baz, after a big 150, went the ton again. Just reached there, but hey, look, I'm going to take that from Smith every day of the week. If he can ton up every game from now until the end of the season, I'm going to be really, really happy with that. Simpkin, look, he's got the ton as well, but what could have been, it was the most frustrating final quarter I think I've watched in a long, long time. I think he gave away 3 free kicks, turned the ball over, maybe had 1 or 2 effective handballs and a tackle in there, but yeah, look, that score really should have been closer to a Brayshaw type score, I think, of a 122. So really frustrating, but at the same time, you'll take a ton from a Simpkin. And Rankin, he had one of his quieter games. He'll have a high break even this week. I reckon he'll be close to the 80 mark. So he could be someone that we could be looking to upgrade this week. Yeah, I'm probably upgrading in my back line, but yeah, there are a couple of options for Rankin, I think, this week as well. Butterick, 47, better than his 20-odd that he got last week, and close with a 52. Look, it's pretty close to his average of 55 there, isn't it? So that is how the team performed for this week. Now, to work out some trades. So I've got a few different options. Obviously, I need to get rid of Noble. I need to do probably something with Ladhams as well, don't I? And Rankin, he'll need to get upgraded as well. So originally, I was planning on upgrading in the back line. Then I thought, no, I'm going to go up forward. But I think I've reverted back to upgrading in the back line. The bloke that I was looking to get up in the forward line was Darcy Parish. So he's a DPP, 466,600, and he's got a 3-round average of 104. That season average doesn't look great, but I think he's hitting form at the moment. So a good price. I think he'll be going up in value. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits the 500 mark by the end of the season. So that's what was maybe swaying me towards upgrading in my forward line, because the bloke that I like in the back line, Nick Haynes, he's actually got a pretty high break even and would probably be better value next week. So from a cash sense, it would probably make sense to get Parrish into the side this week. Hopefully wait for Haynes to go down next week, then get him in while Parrish hopefully rises after this week. But I've sort of learned a bit of a lesson sometimes waiting too long on players. So I really love Nick Haynes as a pick. I think his quality had a pretty down last couple of weeks. Not bad. It was a 97, I think, on the weekend. But I really like Nick Haynes, so I've decided that I'm still going to go with that option, and I'm going to upgrade Noble. So the issue is that, yeah, I want probably either a Mosquito or a Riccardi. I'm not too sure, but let's just say I'll go Riccardi for now. Yeah, I'm not too keen on trading out any of these blokes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade out McPherson, and I'm going to use some DPP swing. So I'm going to get Rivers back there, and look at that coverage. Absolutely terrible. So, yeah, good luck to me if one of my primo backmen go down. There's another trade wasted, I think, there. Then I'm going to swing Butterick in, and that now gives me that link again as well, which I have been missing. And then I'm going to get Riccardi into the forward line. So that's going to be the first trade. Get Riccardi in. Or it might be a Mosquito. I'm not too sure. I'll have to read up a little bit more on the rookies. But we'll see what we do there. Yep, not 100%. And then we are going to upgrade Johnny Noble. So, click on the trade button there. The other decision I have as well is, who do I think will score the most points this week? Will it be Noble against Hawthorn or Rankin against the North Melbourne? So for me, yeah, I'm probably going to stick with Rankin on that one. It's a tough one because he's very much up and down, but I think that I'll stick with him for this week. Now, if I don't get Parrish this week, which is more likely than not, then I don't think that I'll target him. I'm going to target a couple of other players. So this is my trade plan, I suppose, for the next 3 weeks. And we don't know if this will go through, but we'll just wait and see. So, well, that's what I'm doing for this week. By the end of this week, I'm hoping that Draper should be on about 310 to 320k. That's just my prediction. That's just my hope. So if that's the case, I may even trade him out early. He's got much more cash to make after that, I think. But what I'm looking to do is I'll downgrade Draper, and then I'm going to upgrade Rankin to one of Toby Green. He's got Carlton, Adelaide, Melbourne, and St Kilda after that week. Or the other bloke I like is Walters. He's got Richmond, Melbourne, North, and the Bulldogs. So he's been in great form this season, Walters. One of the real primos up in our forward line. But Green, he's a bit of a pod, and look, we know that this bloke can do anything, and I want to take a bit of a risk maybe. So it'll either be at this stage, Green or Walters coming in for Rankin next week. And I'll have a little bit of cash left over, and obviously Laddams won't be playing as well, so I'll need to do something in my ruck. Now, at this stage, the plan is, and I'm not absolutely wrapped about this, I suppose, but I think that I'll look to get in Rob. Now, he'll be coming up against, and remember, he'll have the bye, be able to rest up his body. Then he'll be coming up against Hawthorn, GWS, Carlton, and Richmond. So, a Soldo plays for Richmond, what is a Pitney for Carlton, maybe a Mummy against GWS, and Big Boy, I think Segler's out for Hawthorn the week after the bye. So if you look at those opponents that he comes up against, I'm liking that. There's no Nick Nats there, Grundys, Goldies, these types. I think that that's a pretty good run for him. And he's a pod as well, and I need a pod. And best of all, I'll be getting him after his bye, right at the right time to make sure that I've got still a playing ruck there, as well as getting rid of a Rankin who'll be having his bye, and getting one of Green or Walters in, hopefully. I think with, my predictions, that I'll have the cash to be able to do that. And that way, we'll have a full premo side, or do you call Doherty, Shuey, these blokes primos? Maybe not necessarily, but I suppose they're close enough. And I suppose we've all got one or two of these type of blokes that aren't those ultra primos that we'd love to finish the side with, but it's just been one of those years, unfortunately. So that's probably my trade plans for the next, 1 to 2 weeks. And I should be left with, if everything goes well, no injuries, 2 trades left with a complete side. So I'll most likely leave those for injuries, or else, if it gets to the last sort of 1 to 2 rounds, then I may look to upgrade maybe someone like a Doherty to a Lloyd if I could, or even get a solid bench option possibly. But they're my plans. Anyway, good luck this, guys. Can't even speak. Good luck this week, guys. Hope everything goes well. The stock market video should be out probably tomorrow morning. I'll be working on it later today after I finish work, so I will get that up as soon as possible. But thanks as always for joining me. Much appreciated, guys. The SuperCoach Gods looked pretty kindly upon me this week, and I hope that luck continues for the rest of the season. Good on you, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.